Knuckleheads, crumbs, and chain snatchers, terrorizing with numbers, attitude, and stature. Playing tough guys, but really chatty patties, picking on innocent women and children just like Gabby. Tacky, driving Rage City furious, but the one bringing the fight to them, serious. Put hands on you, feet and elbows. She's down to knuckle up with any and all foes. Her bros, B-boys, roughneck skaters. Rico, Charles, known as the Jawbreakers. Handle you today and not manana. With the one-woman army they call Azana. Biker, duplicator, putting you in traction with the divine cleric and elder name Reaction. Vigilante justice, no apologies. Geneticists with bronze, we lead to prodigy. Speaking of brawn, this last cat's a massive titan. 3 bats, a hockey mask, and a knack for fighting. The Dodger, smash your head and rib cage. Violators beware, they are the punks of rage.
Yes, we are live. We're gonna make a couple adjustments to that, but that was our intro. Now we fully in effect now. We almost 100% back. D, what up, yo?
I'm good, man. How you doing, brother?
I'm feeling good, man. It's Friday. This is the last leg of Black Age Forever 2025. Whoever's gonna watch this later on, and thank you guys for viewing this and checking us out, man. And subscribe to the channel, please. Punks of Rage TV, and you will be getting more and more. D has told me a number of times, and we've been saying this even back on the blog talk, to drop all the old archive footage. Once this is over, I'm going to drop all the old archive stuff from our Punks of Rage radio library. So whoever didn't catch that, it's audio only, but you'll be able to check that as well. Also,
it's worth it. It's history. So you definitely want to check that out.
I want to give a quick shout out to before we get into our show, but shout out to Afro Nerd Radio. Afro Nerd Radio was the inspiration behind me getting on Blog Talk Radio and doing our show. They had been around since 06, I think, 07. They were the first ones I knew who had an actual Blog Talk Radio, and they're about to come back now and have a YouTube station as well. They've been gone for a while, but I just saw the site was updated. They're getting their area ready so they can actually start commentating again. So shout out to that whole crew over there, who put that together from 07 to like now. You guys have been putting in the work, doing comic book blogs, and even before Blog Talk, they had an actual blog. So shout out to Afro Nerd Radio, man, and welcome guys back. When you guys come back, we're gonna be on it. Hopefully, maybe I can reach out to you guys and have one of you come on this show. Just wanted to say that real quick. I was a big fan of that show. This whole show, for the most part, we're going to talk about Black Age stuff, but it's me and D. We're going to talk about comic book stuff in general. We got a lot of comic book stuff to talk about, to pontificate on, which we'll be doing going forward. This whole Black Age celebration that we did, if you guys heard the previous shows, to celebrate the creator of the Black Age of comics, Turtel Onli, his legacy, what he's done for the culture.
Rest in power, Turtel. Rest in power.
Yes, indeed, man. He's a trailblazer. Me and D had him on our show, on a radio show, a number of times. And this is what this is about. And we gave him his flowers, when he could receive them, and and gave him his props for all the things he did. If you never he's got creations like Malcolm 10, Sister Girl, Nog, Creator of the Pyramids, and his legacy is crazy. So when we drop our archive radio audio stuff, check that out. And his name is Turtel Onli. You guys will get a good dose of what that man's career and what he spent his life doing.
He was a mother. So
yeah. I never met he was a guy who, whenever you talk to him, it was always, the mission was never done. We on the next lap, the next leg of this race. He was that cat. Like, he always was organizing something, always putting something together, to help us. Like, he never whenever he's had me come down to his to exhibit with him at one of his shows, he never charged me. He was just really really cool. With just pushing this what we do forward. So that's what this whole 4 episodes was about. So, but
Isn't that the journey though for us as creators? You know, is it's never over. It's always on to the next.
yeah, but I remember D. We had some conversations like off camera or off behind the stage, off screen, where like I used to say, and this is something I think a lot of creators tend to not do at times, is not take a moment to you don't have to bask in it, but like to take account or to celebrate the small accomplishments that you have achieved, because it's some of these things are really big deals, and we're so ready to go to the next thing, we don't take that time to go, what I mean, and kind of appreciate that moment. I know I used to not do that. I used to go, oh, it's time. You finish the thing and you kind of go, okay, I can rest for like 10 seconds. On to the next one. But I always say, man, just kind of, what I mean, take a little moment to like sort of like
Can you think we can? I don't think we can.
it's I don't think you can, like, I don't think we can realistically, but I think for just your own mental health and being, it's just good for the soul to just take that. You don't gotta like I said, bask in it, but just take a moment, and go, oh man. Like, I always tell D, his catalog is crazy. They're on the 6th chapter of their legacy. They, Escape from Babylon Volume 6 is in stores now, so grab it. Or it's in, no, sorry. If you see them, it's not in stores yet. Well, actually, it isn't.
Well, yeah, it is in stores. It's at
Okay.
First Aid. It's at um dang what is
First
this
Aid.
down First Aid, and what's the one downtown?
Oh, Graham Crackers.
Graham Crackers. Oh,
Okay.
shout out to Graham Crackers, because
Um,
we do better in Graham Crackers than we do.
well, I'm glad it's down there because I'm waiting for my second book to come out. Then I'm gonna do the same thing that D do. I'm gonna take my stuff down to these spots in Chicago. But well, I was telling D one time, I was like, man, take that moment, take that breath, because I look at from the outside looking in. Even though we've been partnering doing this for like years now, but from the outside looking in, when I first met them, they were I met them at a convention, and I think they were on chapter 1, I believe. Yeah, chapter 1 of Escape from, this is like
Yeah,
2011.
Escape from Babylon. It wasn't even a volume 1. We didn't know we were going to do more. We totally had the black exploitation attitude, of like, yo, they're not gonna. We don't know who they are. We're just like, they're never gonna let us do another book. We got to make everything count in this one.
It's a thick book too. If you guys pick up that first one, it's really thick. It's a long album too. The first album, if you guys get it, is or if you pick it up on Spotify or it's on all streaming channels. But anyway, I'm saying all that to say, now they're on chapter 6, and it's been crazy for me to watch that happen. And it's one of those wonderful things. I tell D, like, he's always on a mission. Like, and I think in March they're gonna be on tour. So if they, he'll announce it later. But anyway, I'm saying all that to say, like, just to take that moment, take a breath, and go, and because it's a fun journey.
Man, you should. In my mind, you should say, I believe you should take that moment. But then, no, let me say, in my heart, I believe you should.
Right.
In my mind, I don't know if we can, man. Like, for me, I feel like I lose things if I am not focused and locked in.
I feel that too. Like, because I feel like, and it is kind of true. Once you kind of step off, like if you're on that if you're on that run and then you step off, and you do take, it doesn't take a moment to kind of get you back in that mindset. But anyway, I just want you guys to like take those moments when you guys do and go, because they got a great body of work. It's 6 volumes, album and comic, which uh, um each outing that they've had, and usually they go on a tour, but so but yeah, so like I said, we always let Turtel know that we appreciated him. We give him props. His legacy, when he passed, there was a lot of people who posted and dropped stuff, and it was just a lot of fanfare for him, but he got that before he transitioned. So
I'm so glad he did.
Shout out to him, man.
I'm so glad he did. I was when Joe, for people that don't know, Joe was the one that told me that Turtel passed. We were like kind of early, like hearing it, and all you know, it's weird. I was like, I, you know, obviously I'm sad and like we're never gonna talk to him again, and you know, like his vision for even this Black Age series, you know, he wasn't gonna be able to end cap it, but he like wanted us to do this before he passed is one of his wishes for us, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and it was cool, you know, to see him like get his get his accolades and be honored at the MCA. Like
Yeah,
that was amazing.
yeah,
And to watch him, you know, then at PocketCon, and he was like I seen him so happy, like you know, because they were back to back, and it was just good to see him awarded, and like yeah, man, love and shout out to Mr. Only. May he rest in beats.
yes, indeed. And usually he anchors this. Like we usually have three creators, and then he'll anchor it with this segment here, the last show. But you know, we're gonna what I like to do is, you know, we indeed had a little conversation, we had one last week with I think Nate was on with us last week, Nathan Masters. Um, but we celebrated. We talk about the stuff that he was into, that we're into, and that's comic books and the comic book. Uh, you know, the space. You know, we are on our flyer. It says cinema, comics, culture. So we're gonna get into that because there's a lot of stuff going on in all three of those
Yeah,
that I'm gonna talk with D about tonight. And it's first another thing we all want to address is, man, we lost another one. Gene Hackman, man, and you know, passed away earlier this week. And you know, for those who don't know, who don't people, most people who are into the culture will watch this video will know he was Lex Luthor in the original Superman series, like
movie, yeah,
Superman 1 and 2, and
and
that
four.
yeah, he sure was. Oh man,
He was in Quest for Peace.
shout out to you for that because I miffed on that. He sure was. He's the one who helped create Nuclear Man. But we'll leave Superman 4 there for a second. But yeah, he was in 1, 2, and 4. He looked like he should have been in 3 because the cat who played him looked like he was a version of Lex Luthor who played that villain. But anyway, lost him this week, and that movie. I didn't see number 1 in the theater. I saw number 2 in the theater. Was what is that movie is one of the reasons why I create comics. You know, I that a lot of kids will remember, Gen Xers especially, that Channel 7 special that Sunday night. Um, you know, Superman, the movie, the Sunday night movie. I mean, it was stellar. Like it was so, you know, we lost something with Gene, you know, and you know, may his family, you know, he lost his wife as well.
And
Rest in
it's
peace.
like that whole the headline was really like bizarre, you know. And you know, like man, blessings to him and his family and their family that are surviving their losses. And it's just like, you know, this stuff is not kind, like even in the sensationalized headlines, because when I saw that, it was like Gene Hackman, his wife, and his dog all died at the same time, and it's like the way it was just
I
read,
didn't like that either. I didn't like that.
you know.
I saw it was similar to how I saw, like, oh, because the first thing pops in your brain is go, oh my god, what happened? And that's what they want. It's a kind of a clickbaitish type of headlines. I saw something similar, and of course I ran. It got me. I was like, let me go see what happened, you know, and thus, you know, and they still trying to figure out exactly what happened. So the details. I mean, this is still. I think this happened Thursday or no Wednesday. So they're still trying to figure it all out. One of the things I wanted to get into is, so, you know, well, rest in peace to his entire family. Rest in peace to Turtel as well. Um, but we you know, like I said, we talk about comics. We get into that. We talk about culture. I got something I want to ask. I'm sure D Nick has seen this, but I kind of saw this Been following this thing for a while now.
Uh-oh.
So those who don't know, D is not only a comic book creator, he's an MC as well. Um, you know, uh, 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 Beats solidly in the hip hop culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
The one of the groups who I looked up to coming up, if people used to see my symbol for my company, they already know. Wu-Tang Clan has come back together again, or are coming back together yet again for what they're calling the Final Chamber Tour, which should be what they're saying is that, well, RZA said out of his mouth that it's going to be the last time you see, maybe, well, more than likely the last time you see all nine of them on stage together in that capacity, rocking as that band that we know as Wu-Tang Clan. It's been a big. RZA's been doing interviews yesterday or today, this morning. He
Yeah.
dropped this trailer, him and Meth and Ernie Johnson doing the narration. I mean, he's really putting a lot into the promotion of this. So I want to ask D, man, this may be the last time the clan go ahead and do it. Is there any kind of feelings you have toward that, or what did they, what they meant to you guys, um and their legacy going forward? Is this the end of the greatness?
Um,
No, I'm just
no, I don't see it as an end. Um, it's like hearing RZA talk about it, and and it's funny enough, they're not doing a super. I mean, it's a long tour. Like, don't get it twisted. It's like tour. I want to say it was like some close to 60 something days or something like that.
I think it's the summer. I think it's the most of the summer, if not the complete summer.
Yeah, and so no, it's it's if it is the last one, man, like shout out to them. It gets tiring. Um People are in different stages in their lives. We ain't getting no younger. That's a hard thing in touring in itself. Like, I know, and I'm not nowhere near, like, the Misfits ain't nowhere near on that day level, and it is exhausting.
Yeah,
And scheduling is a thing, as well as negotiating, like, to get everybody out. People have different motivators and all of that stuff, and so if they can pull it off, which they seem like they are going to pull it off, Wu-Tang Clan and Run the Jewels, shout out to Run the Jewels, having that.
Hello Mike LP, baby.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and so I mean, for me, I'm like, man, cool. It's a good run. Um, I'm happy that they get to give a nice send off.
yeah,
Um, some are probably a little bit more, you know, probably a little more like down about it than others. And I'm talking about them as artists. I mean, I don't know them, but you figure, you imagine, that's the word. You imagine that some would be like, man, I could wish I could do some more of these. Like, I would think like Young Dirty Bastard would really want to do more of these, because it's not like people are racing to see a Young Dirty Bastard concert or buy a Young Dirty Bastard album,
right.
so he, it's a thing for him. But like, man, Meth is in his 50s, and Meth is one of the younger ones in the Wu-Tang Clan. So
He might be the youngest. I
I
think he
think he
is.
is the youngest.
Yeah.
So he in his 50s. And so it's, and he's doing movies, and he just did a quick run with Redman, and he ain't even, you know, he's not even doing a lot of concerts on his own. So it's a good run for all of them. They all got different things, and I like the name is Wu-Tang Forever, because their legacy is going to be their
The final
legacy.
chamber, they calling it is what they calling that tour. Wu Tang,
And you know, it's I don't know. I guess I'm at a different stage in hip hop where I'm like, man, like I hope it is their last one. To you know what I'm saying? To just so they can go out on their own versus having to do it.
right. And then that's what I was seeing how they promoted it and seeing RZA did this great interview about it. He's been interviewing in several spots, mainstream talk shows and such. But he did one interview. I think it's about an hour or so long, and he really kind of went into it. Like, I wish I would have wrote. I think I should have wrote down the name of it. But you can Google, you can just YouTube RZA interview. You'll see it's about an hour long, and it came out recently. So like the more recent interview that he's done, he talked about what it took to decover those, what it took to bring all those 9 people, well actually 8, you don't include him, that he had to
Well,
bring.
no, it's it
It
because
was 9 because you got young Dirty, right?
and you got Capadonna, so
Well, yeah, but he's the ninth now because well, yeah,
yeah.
but he was saying how much it took to get that the negotiation part, having making sure that it's all people. So because it's when you promise something like this and you promote it to the level that they're promoting it, you want to see everybody. Like I've actually only got to see the entire clan one time in my entire life. That's my favorite, band, and I got to see them one time, and it was off the chart. It was incredible. So I don't know if I don't have it. And I remember I was in my 20s then. It's such a rush, that I don't know if I have the stamina to do it now. I saw those tickets go on sale today. I was like, ugh, do I have the strength to do it? I'm hoping maybe they can have a DVD or something or some kind of something to stream because I don't know if I have it like that no
They
more.
will. They will.
We was bouncing. But anyway, that's why I asked D Nick them where they travel around and they've been at it for a while too. So I wanted to get his thoughts on that. A lot of people compare them, like they've had all types of comic bookish type. You know, 3 of the members got graphic novels, or two or three. 2, I think, got graphic
Yeah.
novels. So, and they've always been seen as like the Justice League of the rap game. So
And they're
we
all
all
comic book heads. I always I like the quote that RZA said about the first Iron Man movie. And he was like, Iron Man never sold 1 million copies of his comic books at the time. And he
right.
was like, but Ghostface Killer's Iron Man album sold 1 million copies. And when you look at the first Iron Man movie, he's watching the video of Ghostface on his plane.
Speaking of which, there's another, we go segue into some of the topic, but there's a Ghostface interview about that where he talks about that he was supposed to have a bigger part in that movie than that clip, but just check out the Ghostface interview. Long story short, he was sick the day he's supposed to shoot. They wanted to shoot it, and he was sick, and they couldn't do it, and they left. It never got made. Never made it to the actual. He was supposed to be I think a shot of him and Tony Stark side by side. I think at a resort or something like that. Check out his interview. He talks about it. But anyhow, but yeah. So it was when I saw that clip and I saw the interviews of Rick because Riz has been on a promotional rip. Like he's been going anywhere and everywhere to promote this thing. So you kind of know it's a pretty big deal. And tickets went on sale today. So yeah,
Not cheap.
I didn't even look. I just said let me just try to because the first one I went to we was in a mosh pit, man, and we jumping around, and I remember leaving it was like a 3 hour. I mean, it was a long time because like back then they had like all their subsidiary, like the Black Knights were there, and it was just a lot going on. And we jumped in time, and then they didn't do the clan as one. They came out one at a time and rocked the mic and rocked the stage, and then they came back together as one unit. And they did Wu-Tang songs, like the unit songs. It was a long time, but we was into it the whole time. So if you can afford it, check that out. It's worth seeing. They are amazing to see in person. It is absolutely insane.
And they got better. They got better. They weren't really a strong other than method. They weren't really strong performers as a unit, like since the passing of Old Dirty. again, minus Method Man, Method Man, Dirty, and the RZA were probably the strongest performers to me. And then the other ones kind of come in, but they yeah, they're doing it.
We was so the way they did our tour. The subsidiary groups came on first. I think a Chicago act came on too. We was in Chicago, and they rocked the mic. But the time start, it had been it was maybe 45 minutes, and they were supposed to be on stage. Past the time supposed to be on stage, and I remember this distinctly. And it was a lot of contact smoke. If you ever been to some of these
Oh
concerts, it's
yeah.
gonna be a lot of contact smoke in there. So we're already kind of like floating, right? And you guy came on first, and we exploded. Like he started going into his, I think, Rumble, one of his songs at that time, or he had come out with his album, and we just went ballistic. So you got like each member coming out and rocking the stage and having us go ballistic, and then the whole group coming out. So anyway, I just hope that concert lives up to what we believe is going to. I shout out to the entire Wu-Tang Clan and 30 plus years of you doing it and just being that inspiration for a lot of us. So I just wanted to give them a shout out because that group, when I was coming up, that meant a lot, man.
And shout out to the fans of supporting them, because it ain't easy when you ain't got like charting records and all of this type of stuff. It's really cool to, I would hope if the mistress had to chill out, it would be easier to just come back.
Y'all got some time to go, baby, because I want my volume 7 and 8 and 9. But no, I know what it takes to put that together. So don't listen to me. Um, um, so okay, another thing. So one of the things I did, we're gonna go into actual comics. I want to talk about an article that dropped today or yesterday on it's a site called Bleeding Cool, right?
Oh, those guys.
Yeah, man, Bleeding Cool was crazy, man. But they had Ryan Otley. If you people not familiar with Ryan Otley, he's a penciler. He did Invincible, is like his longest work. But he started talking about the actual just the economics of what it takes to be like somebody. I think he was responding to somebody asking a comment like, "Can any penciler currently do a monthly comic?" And me behind the scenes, me and another friend was talking about like, is the monthly comic, is it gone? Can you get a penciler or line artist to meet a monthly schedule? And Ryan Otley, who's a phenomenal artist, check out Invincible. If you don't, he got other works, but Invincible, he did a crazy long run on, right? And I thought about that. He was saying what it would take for a penciler or line artist to do that amount of work currently. And he said, you don't understand what it takes. He said, in your 20s and your 30s, sure. He said you can kind of bang that out, like because you're ambitious. Back in the day, back in the early 2000s, the late 90s, money was a lot better too. Like now, the economics of comics, they not paying like that no more. Even the upper page rates for like Marvel and DC aren't what they used to be. Those days are gone, right?
Right.
So he was talking about the next step, and what's the best way. And we had Nathan on the show last week, and we was talking about, is crowdfunding the actual way. So I'm gonna ask D, and I'm gonna come behind him on it. Like, is the whole model of what we used to know as comics, is that, do you think is that coming to an end? When I mean by model, I mean the comic book shop. You expect this comic every month from this particular artist or art group, coming into the stores, picking it up on Thursday, and I'm sorry, Wednesday. Are we? And then of course Diamond is in trouble. They're not quite gone yet, but I mean that power meter is blinking red right now for them. Um, are we about to see just this mega shift in how we receive comics? Because like we've been talking about this for a while on this show, and I'm gonna come behind you with my opinion. You can go first, but if you got some of the top guns saying, "Hey man, we can't fit this schedule. This is not happening no more." What are we looking at with comics going the physical version of comics going forward in the format?
Um,
too.
Man, that's a wow. That is an interesting loaded, you know what I'm saying, question. You know what? I as an indie guy, I'm it's funny because I'm holding like the series like in my hand of my books, and Joe has his books,
Let me see. Let me see. I don't know what you do that. You did it a couple times. I should have known. Oh, I do. I got it right here.
Yeah,
Look at me,
like
baby.
we
Oh, the
yes,
reflection is awful. Rage City.
and
Oh, the
yeah,
reflection is
it's
killing
the
me.
thing, and so
Anyway, anyway.
we don't we don't we don't do like we are fully indie, like full independent. I know Joe had did a run like through Diamond and all that stuff at a point, but it's if
In the
you
'90s, mind you. Go
yeah,
ahead.
but like now, like I've never, we never had no back end, so we did whatever we can do based on the demand of the people and the will of ourselves, and they just got better, and it gets exhausting. It gets really exhausting, and that model, like I mean, if it works for you and you can make it work, then cool. But it's a lot of people that you gotta diversify uh your
Your bonds.
activity, your
Yeah.
productivity. You gotta diversify how you're making it, because it's like doing the same way in this world. Like you can't even pay rent with a money order anymore. You know what I'm saying? You gotta go, like landlords is like going into these like systems. You gotta do it on Zillow or
Oh yeah. Oh
Trill.
yeah.
Like no one's like, hey, here's my money order for my rent. Nobody's doing that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I won't say nobody, but most people aren't doing that anymore. Like like most of these companies are different. So yeah, you just got to diversify the way you do your product. Like I would say, because the world is changing and it's grown, and so not saying that you can't, you still can, but most people are not. You know,
It just I think it's economics. Like you can't you if you can't get paid. Like we had a time in the the glory days of the '90s run in the early 2000s where people were getting paid a good chunk of money to do this stuff, write and draw. And now that's just not it no more. So Rob Liefeld chimed in on the topic as well. He said, a lot of artists are doing, and I mean like named artists are doing like comics conventions. He had the three C's. I can't think of the third C. Comics and conventions. I'm sorry, covers and conventions. I'm gonna have to look that up in a minute.
comics covers conventions.
It was another. It was something else because basically he was saying no more interior. Nobody, none of the big names are not too many are doing interiors anymore because they don't want to. I saw this thing that Jim Lee put up a couple years ago for the first time. I don't know since I've known him to do work that he's offered to do commissions. He never offered that. Like and they are pricey. You go look up. You can Google it. Jim Lee's commissions. It lets you know if you got that kind of dough, by all means. But it's like it's starting to say a lot about where we're going, like as a culture of comics. It's a trip because the landscape has changed. And then in the same breath, and I'm go segue a little bit. I'm seeing some indie guys from back in the '90s who are coming back and doing crowdfundings crazy.
Be be I'm sorry, I mean
Go ahead.
cut you on that. But no, I the reason they are is because nobody is worried about how do I'm trying to decide if I want to be disrespectful to them or not, or respectful. I'll be respectful. Nobody's really concerned with casual fans anymore. Everybody is
Yeah.
focused on niche. I can speak to myself. Like, you know, you are not going to see. I mean, you will, but it's very, very, very rare that you see the microphone misfits in a club concert. Not because we're too big for the club. It's just because we don't need to do it. We got options. And it's like between festivals and comic conventions that and anime conventions and video game conventions that we perform for. Because a lot of those people is like, I don't want to go here, or even schools. We just did a big concert at a school, like through a connection with comics, like shout out to Emily Hansel and Tortel and Matt Hansel, like, and so we were rocking. I mean, it was early. We had two 45-minute sets at a 8 a.m. concert, like
Ooh,
school,
work right there.
but we were done like early. We still had the rest of our day, and we still got paid a respectable amount, more
Hey,
than
you
we would ever get in a club. So
you did
what are
the
we
show with me that
doing?
night. Go ahead.
What are we doing? Like, we get paid this amount at this, you know, school. Like, we get the rest of our day. A lot of us still have day jobs. We can still go to work. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Yeah.
After that, and then versus you perform at like, you know, two or 1 in the morning, get paid at 2 in the morning, and then you are wired, and then you're tired, and the next day you can't do nothing, or you got to call off, or you're just like, man, I'm finna. Nah, like, so we're not focused on casual fans. I hear it all the time. People be thinking like we just, believe it or not, like in this world, people is like, man, microphone misfits, all this stuff. But we're in our base. The casual, like, you talk about some casual hip hop fans that are not like nerdcore fans, they're gonna be like, man, so what y'all doing? What we doing? I'm beat. I'm busy and tired. But this is what they're doing. This is why everybody's coming back, because they're not even taking the time to entertain casual fans, that are not like that are fleeting. They are strictly focused and locked in on real fans.
Yeah.
Real fans.
Yeah. No, and so I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna say some. Yeah. I think at this point, I'm. A, D just said that. This what I'm gonna think. I think we used to always give a year limit. We COVID fast forward our what we thought probably like times two as the when we will see a complete digital. I think now we in such a weird time in comics and in the way we knew the format from like the direct market, which is direct to stores, comic book stores, to that, and now with some of these, like I said, some of these indie guys, man, I mean, when I was in like the early '90s, London Knights, they coming out and doing great. Brian Pulido, Coffin Comics, killing it on the crowdfund. I think they got 1 million for one of the joints, or half. They've had maybe 4 or 5 successful fundings. I think if we're seeing that much success in that era, and then what D said, like with technology being what it is, like Rob Liefeld just did a series. He didn't. I don't think he put this in the stores at all. It was called Last Blood. His comic book, his young blood is his. He got it back now too. Is his creation, but Last Blood
Yeah.
was kind of like a play on that. And he didn't go to the stores at all. It went through a Whatnot, kind of like a Whatnot is kind of like a damn, like a I'm trying to think of the name, auction app, kind of like. Um, and he sold specialty after specialty. Uh, that was it. Like I think I forgot how many he sold, but I'm on his page. I'm like, man, he was, it did great, and if he can have that kind of success, and you're bypassing the distributor, you're bypassing the stores, and
Yeah, man.
you're getting all the residuals. It's like, how long do we have for this thing to stand the way it stands? Not that it's gonna disappear to tomorrow, but it's, I don't know. The future is, we seeing more and more success stories
It's
through these
niche.
other ways. So
We're in the PC age, and it's not just political correctness because the world ain't even that politically correct. We're
right,
in it's personal computers, personal choice. Everybody is doing. Everybody's doing. They're focused on the need because it's too overwhelming. There's too much. It's not like if whatever is played on the radio, everybody hears. And then whatever the big advertisers are, or the tech companies, they're like, play this because this benefits, like the sponsors and the advertisers. And for the people who are like, man, I want to do that, then they're focused on the alternatives, and like there's people who like only buy music, and comics, and like through these weird, not weird, but these alternative sites, like we know like Kickstarter and Indiegogo, but there's people who are like, you know what, I'm a sponsor, I'm gonna be a Patreon to your Patreon.
right.
I'm gonna be a subscriber to your Patreon page, and then like, I'm gonna do that every, pay monthly on your Patreon, and just give me a print or give me a song, or that's exclusive. Like I have friends that are like exclusively on Patreon. Like Mega Ran got, like, he has his music for the public, but he got a whole catalog of music that has only been released on Patreon. And if it's really, really good after, months, he's like, man, I'm gonna put this on the big platforms and all this stuff. It's people like that with they prints, so
You just gave me a great idea. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah,
Like,
dude, like,
you just gave me a great idea.
you know, as far as names go, like, don't nobody don't nobody know the popular medium of our world in comics. They don't know like Segibot, who I would call affectionately Nintendo 64. But he's like, he ain't hurting. He ain't like, he maybe have some like ancillary, like side hustles, but he's a full-time artist.
Yeah.
It's a thing, man. And like, again, like, we just focus on your like your market and your niche, man. People like, man, won't you do this show? No, I'm not doing the show with you. Not because I don't love you, and or because I'm intimidated by your skill set. I'm just, it's not gonna get me out the bed. You're not gonna get what you would want because you're, performing for the before casual fans, and you're expecting our draw to go to that, but they wouldn't go to that.
Right.
It's like, what you doing? Who is these rap cats? They ain't got no artwork and all of this type of stuff. They not on video games. Like, go with some nerdcore stuff. And it's just like, man, that's what it is. And it's the same thing in the comics. Is why people are more specific and selective with their, with what cons they do. That's why our brother Chris Turner is like, man, I'm through with books. I'm riding this digital wave out. I'm just streaming, on Dial Access and all of that type of stuff. And it's like, man, bless. And it works. It's beneficial for them. And it changed the medium. I think some of the guys who have been on top for so long, got really comfortable by that medium because it was a sweet medium to be on top of, on top of it. For the rest of us, man, we cool with like, like, man, what? I'm Rage City, Punks of Rage, like Punks of Rage, like people that are hip. If you just now getting hip to Punks of Rage, and that's the thing that's dope about it too, is there ain't no time on it. It's just like, man, if you're just now discovering Dodger, psh,
which
you want more of
which I think is why like now and this is before I read that article about what happened in Bleeding Cool. Like I had me and my artist was talking. It was like they're like in the modern day age of comics, it's virtually impossible to keep that sort of, at least in my opinion, at a high level of art, a high level of storytelling, month to month, with the rates being what they are. So now we got tech, you could, like you just said, you just mentioned you can be a Patreon, a patriot on a Patreon and receive like a song. Back in the day, you used to receive stuff like, or not everyone, but some when the blockchain. What's the thing? NFTs.
Yeah.
NFTs were like hot. For this maybe still some that you get, um, but yeah, the medium has changed, and now we like seeing that article. I was like, man, we gonna come back to that because that's gonna be something that we unpack for an entire show probably.
Focus on your niche, people. Focus on your niche.
We go get some more folks in here who do this stuff, and then we go get some opinions. Some more mainstream stuff. We I don't even know why I'm about to say this, but we're gonna jump into the Star Wars bag. For a second. The rumor has it that the showrunner, the person behind Lucasfilm, currently at Disney, Kathleen Kennedy, may be out finally in 2020, 25. That's been a rumor that's been going on for like years, and I don't know if that's true or not. We'll see. Um, and then to you know, because that's been one of the things that's in different blogs culture, in blog shows. You'll hear that rumor come up, and then, nothing happens. Not that whatever happens, but I just one of those things that you just hear so often. You're like, I don't know what's going to happen or not, but we'll just keep an eye on that, put a pin in it. And then that said, Andor season 2 trailer drop. Andor season 1, got a lot of crazy reviews from this is one of the best Star Wars anythings to, is it Star Wars? I heard both sides of the table. Personally, I enjoyed it. I thought the writing was really, really, really solid. The acting, the
Who's that?
performances were really, really, really good. I kind of guessed the ending before it ended as to what was going on. I'm not going to spoil it for anybody who's going to watch it later.
I
Because
mean, just watch Star Wars and you can.
well, yeah, true, but I don't want. I'm not going to say. I'm not going. I'm not. Gonna, but season 2 trailer drop. You saw it, D?
I did. And I liked Andor. I mean, I definitely like it. It was definitely really good because I don't like prequels like at all. Like I'm of the old dog that believes that stories move forward.
Right.
Give me a flashback. I don't need a prequel. That said, it was really well written. The only thing I would criticize about, and it is what it is, but I kind of miss the I did kind of miss the fantasy aspect of Star Wars and I know it's a different tone and a different story, but I just missed that energy, but no, it was dope. I think it's gonna be good, man.
I,
I
I
think.
I'm hoping it's gonna be, if it's as good as the first season, then we got something really, really special. And I think it's I think it's like 12 eps. So the first season was 12 eps. I think it's gonna be 12 eps too. So I think it's total 24 episodes for the complete run of Andor, and I think that'll just kind of sum that up. So And then I saw the trailer, and if you notice, they really bigged up what people were saying about that first series. So and so said this is the most thrilling. It's like, man, so and they got some heavy hitters in there, great actors in there. So I'm looking forward to seeing,
I mean,
how this.
that's cool. Between Rogue One and Star Wars, I know what's happening to them. So I'm like, well,
Well, yeah,
what
yeah.
we y'all need some lemonade. We just gonna squeeze this thing out.
It's oh, dude, they finna squeeze like so. Man, yeah, they finna squeeze. We finna get every drop. We finna get every single drop that they got. And I'm to me, even though this was done, and I'm with you and other people who say this, like even though this was done at a very high level, which it was, the writing is and the acting is great. I can't say nothing about that. But being as where it's sandwiched in between, where this storyline takes place, and I'm trying my best not to. Well, Dee's already said it, but it's definitely a prequel. It's a prequel to a prequel, is what it is. Which is in between a storyline, which is between the actual 6 chapters or 9 chapters of this saga, the Skywalker
That
saga
was the
of Star Wars.
craziest synopsis I've ever heard. Like,
Yeah.
so like, do we really care about spoilers when it's like?
All right. So we about to. So people who haven't seen it, we
No,
about
you
to
don't have
spoil
to
it.
give a
Go
spoiler, Joe,
Go ahead.
but say that synopsis again, because
Uh, the
that is telling.
the prequel of a prequel, sandwiched
It's,
between the Star Wars saga, the Skywalker
it's the
saga.
prequel of a prequel that is sandwiched between like a storyline.
Yeah, the Skywalker storyline is to me. Star Wars has done it in books and other media like games. Like it used to be the game the before we got streaming sites. The movies actually that's I take that back. No, they weren't linear because the prequels were the story before the ones that we got. So my whole synopsis is gone. So I'm gonna just leave that there. Um, but usually other stuff that happened that was intricate happened in between, like the books, the comics, the video games. You'll get some stuff. In my opinion, once because Star Wars got some stuff coming out in 2026. Uh, they got a movie coming out. Their first movie in years. I think five years. The last movie they had in the theater was Solo, and that was in 2018. It'll be 8 years by the time a movie hits the theaters from Star Wars, which is crazy. Especially after they spent all that money to acquire this big property. That's just crazy. So anyway, um, we go jump out of the Star Wars bag and then jump into. We got today a first look photo of the new series called Lanterns, which is coming to Max. Um, I'm assuming, and I don't know the plot yet, but in this particular shot is one shot. We see the actors playing Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan. Are you a big Green Lantern fan, D?
I am.
Okay.
I like the I have a love-hate relationship with the Lantern Corps.
Mm.
Um, I like I don't like when they're together. I'm not a fan
To
of.
me, it's funny when they are, depending on which group of them. Like if it's
It is.
the Earth group, it's kind of funny. But like when it's Kilowog usually takes we finna talk real geeky right now, but Kilowog is the leader of or not the leader. He's like one of their
The trainers. He's
the
a trainer.
trainers. He's like a sergeant or something like that. But
Yeah.
anyway, they tend to
How
follow.
effed up is the Earth to have like what we got like what Earth got like 4?
We was just talking about that. We was just talking about that. We
Everybody
was
get
like
one Green Lantern per sector, and Earth is
maybe
so
two.
screwed
We
up.
got four. We got four active members. Like I think, and I forgot the other. It's a dude now. But even before that dude who had the pistols was I never
Oh,
understood that.
Simon Bass. Don't we got more than 4. We got Kyle Rayner. We got Hal Jordan. We got Jon Stewart. We got my man with the
is Guy Gardner still active?
Guy Gardner.
Okay.
Got Guy Gardner. We got Simon Bass. And then is there another one?
It was a girl. They just added another.
I
I don't know
forget.
her name.
Man, people gonna be
It's
like, "Man, it's so sexy." You don't even remember the girl. I
yeah.
know.
No, I but
Um,
because I
but
barely
this
remembered the other
Earth,
guy.
Earth got six. Yeah, I barely remember Guy Gardner. He just has a penis haircut. But we we got six. Earth got six Green Lanterns. Like, how trash is the planet Earth? Like, to us to have six Green Lanterns and the rest of the world got one lantern per
West
set.
of the rest of the universe, like we or galaxy, I should say. I think it's the universe that they guard. Yeah, because it's the most powerful, so the so-called most powerful weapon in the universe, the actual ring. I'm interested because like so here's something like anybody who if you like Jeff Johns is a great writer. He did a fantastic run on Green Lantern back in the mid 2000s, early 2000s, and going forward. Jeff Johns was smoking. He made Green Lantern, in my opinion, a top. I mean, we all know who Green Lantern is, but he, especially with the whole color thing, with the hate ring, and he was chef kiss, right? Um, I watched this movie. This is during when when Ryan Reynolds was playing. He was still doing the Green Lantern, and it's during at
Yeah.
that time. So he's dropping a lot of Green Lantern stuff, right? So I saw this animation, this Emerald Knights, brilliant, brilliant. It should be on Max now, so you only got to pay for it. If you got Max, if you subscribe to Max, check out. I implore you, check out it. It's a great, great, great movie. So I watched that on Friday. I said, it's going to be Friday. Tomorrow I'm going to go check out the movie, live action, Ryan Reynolds. Went down and saw the movie. I was like, oh man, I made a mistake. So I'm saying all that to say, when you let certain people write this series and you get them, like D said, he don't like them together in particular times. To me, depending on who they are, it makes for great because they like cops. They kind of like have this whole cop banter about them, and it's actually kind of funny because they really do kind of talk about each other and all that type of stuff. But then you get the lore of what they are and what they represent and what the green element is. Why do they carry this ring? What do each lantern has a certain way that the green element and the ring works with their will and with their how they able to produce the actual energy. It is fascinating. So I'm interested in seeing what core group they're gonna have. I think it's gonna have like at least the four, here on Earth. And that's gonna be just. I'm looking forward to it. So it's one of the Max series, one of the DC things I'm looking forward to see how that actually works. But they just
Same universe as the Superman. It's not Superman Legacy anymore, but
ooh, that's a great question. I don't know. I don't know because I don't know what James Gunn is doing exactly because I'm hearing they're gonna have a new DCU Batman, which I thought that the one that they got Robert Pattinson was gonna be somehow brought in, but I guess not. So and that's just a rumor, so I don't know for certain. So
they don't need him brought in.
don't quote me on that. So I don't know for certain, but I really do enjoy the universe of Batman they have now, with especially the Penguin series. You see,
Oh no, it's dope. It just he doesn't belong in that
yeah,
universe. I like that as an Elseworld story. Man, bring Batfleck back. Like, I would like to see Batfleck in this with them. I really would. I think as an older, more
he was supposed to get something, and then once the original DCU fell apart, that whole negotiation, kind of like with Henry Cavill, it just didn't never happen, never materialized.
man,
So
James Gunn might pull him and be like, you know what? I like this chiseled Batman.
I I I'm here. Okay, I'm finna break down how I feel about this whole even with Marvel. We finna go ahead and get into it. We got like a little bit of time left. I'm about to go into it at least. So I've always felt that when you build a universe like the way Marvel did something that's never been done, the MCU in particular, they took how we do comics and make that and did how we and use that so comics is usually a chain of stories that we get that it can come through different. It was a mega event that we get that's come through comics. It'll usually go through a bunch of different titles, and then it'll have a big event that sort of concludes it, right? They did that in movie form though, which is
Yeah.
insane. From 2008 to 2019, they took us on this ride. We went to every movie. We went to we watched Agents of Shield, even you didn't want to because you might find something out. We were hooked. And then in game happened. Best thing I've ever seen as far as a fan of comics, especially as it relates to Marvel. We all, had our moment in the theater. It's over. It's, in my opinion, it's hard to keep that going when you have so many branches and chains. This is now what 2008. We're in it's 20. It was 17 years
25.
now, right? 17 years is a long time to keep that continuity going. You know, after Endgame, so now to me, Marvel is where a lot of comics find them. MCU, I should say, is where a lot of comics find themselves when they do a big event and a long arcing story. It becomes convoluted, and so now I gotta watch what now in order to understand he got this from whom and where. No, DC starting over, they have an opportunity to not do that. The shared universe thing, it sounds nice, but it could be your greatest enemy too, because now you get that people got to notice stuff to watch the next thing and stream this and no, stick to if I'm well, I'm not James Gunn, but Superman is right here, Batman is right here, Green Lantern is right here. They can mention the other Superman. It can be mentioned, but I'm not gonna do that whole into. I'm just not gonna do that
I
again.
mean, people want to see their characters, their heroes interact, and make it special. I think the hardest thing about it is the, the it goes back to the business and like how do you maintain the who you already built on and garner new fans.
That's the trick of it, though, isn't it? Like that's
That's but that's the dilemma. And sometimes you can't. Sometimes you get lucky and sometimes you can't. Like I, you know, I'm like, man, that's cool, but it's hard. And it's dope. And it's like, it's a whole thing, yo. It's
you
it's a,
have to you have to to me, MCU is the perfect storm because it caught us right at the perfect time. You got millennials and Gen Xers who were just coming. We rolled this wave as kids, and now we're coming into the shared universe. And now we're learning the universe is shared as each movie comes. So now it builds this wave. So I don't think you can repeat that. Like I don't think there will ever be a time where because I mean look man, I remember going to the theater. We was doing a show that night too. I went to go to the theater to go watch Captain Marvel, and I'm not really a big Captain Marvel fan. That movie made a billion. I mean that movie made $1 billion, $1 billion movie, because it was between Infinity War and Endgame. I wanted to know what was gonna happen. I needed to know what was gonna happen. Not wanted to. I needed to know. They caught us at that moment and they took us on that ride. So I don't know, can they get that to happen again? I guess anything's possible, but like that to me, even you don't feel that energy no more the way we used to. It used to be like, man, did you hear this? Did you hear that? It was like emanating, and it's still there to the certain degree. There's a lot of comic book stuff coming out. Like we got oh my god, we got Green Lantern, the Lantern Corps. We got fantastic. We got the two big blockbusters this year. Technically three if you count Mission Impossible, but I guess the two big summer blockbusters this year is going to be Superman and Fantastic Four. They're kind of gearing. Those are two strong comic book IPs. So we'll see if they can kind of get that magic back. But yeah, man, we'll see.
Joe, I got something I wanted to, I wouldn't say address, but something that just really struck a nerve with me that I saw.
Go for
Um,
it.
and not gonna talk about what was said for people that I don't even know if it's still up, but I just wanted to was in a conversation with some people about it though, and like a friend of the show, friend of mine, friend of Joe's, an amazing artist, Ashley Woods, like had it's not fair to say a breakdown, yeah, a breakdown or lash out. She had aired some grievances, on the the some of her handlings and in the sphere, in the scene. And you know, I'm not gonna say like Love Ashley, that's period in the sentence. I'm not gonna say that I don't believe her or I do believe her or any of that stuff. I'm just like I support Ashley and all of that. My question is like how do we feel about like is that a thing for artists to, to vent on social media and all of that stuff because we live our life in the public whether we want to or not. And so sometimes people feel like the need to, but it also can hurt you and all of this type of stuff. And so it's a
I
tricky
I think 100%. I wouldn't necessarily do it, but I can, cause okay, and it depends on the particular person, and to me it depends on kind of like the particular. It depends on the particulars of each situation can be its own thing, but in some instances, because we all, I mean, the comic book circles aren't as big, as we all assume. Like we're like 3 degrees. I don't care how big you are as a comic book artist. We're maybe 2 to 3 degrees separated from all of us. So in that instance, I don't know whether it was to address to so a particular person can know how they feel. Like because it could be that. But I've known big names. Shit. I mean, okay. I follow Rob Lightfield's page. He said in the beginning of the year, look, man, he's this guy, he's taking a lot of hits over the years. He's taking a lot of blows. And he don't really necessarily strike back. Really, he's an older guy, and he lets you know from day one in January. Look, nothing sliding. I'm gonna address how I feel, point blank, period, to whomever. He will address a casual fan the way he addressed Kevin Feige, who's the head of Marvel. He did a whole podcast about that dude. So I think some creators will definitely air their how they feel, and I think I think each reason is for its own particular, it maybe has a rhyme and a reason too, but yeah, I remember in my younger days, I had a we we had a crazy falling out on social media in front of the whole world. It was a group of us. I won't get into the names and all that. And another group, and we were all like on the rise doing our thing, and we clashed hard. And I said stuff on that I will never say. And you know me, I don't really talk like that.
yeah.
But I said some things, and they said some things back, and it was unfortunate, and I didn't. I will never probably. Do, I will more than likely never do nothing like that again. Anything like that again. But I can't say. You don't know what you'll do until you're in that moment. So, so yeah. I've
And
seen it.
Rob Liefeld has enough cultural equity to where he can say that it's like certain deals, it'll hurt him with certain deals, and or you could even argue possibly a lot of deals, but he still is Rob Liefeld, so he has enough cultural equity that you can't like his rants won't hurt him that much, you know. For us, and I ain't even like just picking on Woods or anything like that. And again, shout out to Woods. It's the homegirl. It's the homie. It's just like what do we have to get bigger to just or be ready to walk away from it all to because there's a lot of risks involved with that
I think
thing.
it took a lot of guts, to be honest, because it is, especially on social media, is like it's like your life's tape. You know, like they say when you go to heaven and you're judged, and you sometimes they show these little God is looking at a video of your life. So it's like your life tape of it's like your receipts of things. So, but I think that at any level, any stage of you, as far as your stature in the game, sure, I guess it can come back to bite you. But if it's something that you feel needs to be addressed and that's your outlet, then and you legit feel like you've been wrong, then I mean it's you gotta let it, because that's like we all a lot of our lives are now on social media. Like no matter, it's just what it is. So at that point you let it fly, and I think at that point when you release something like that, you're ready for the chips to fall wherever they fall, and that's just that. So I'm pretty sure she thought about it. And it was like, I'm gonna go ahead and because I've seen all types of stuff being said by different people for different reasons, and some of them get like a lot to so-called to like lose, I guess. And it's like, you know, I always saw comics as this sort of realm where like it was the last realm where you could really not just well culturally with us too, but like just it's that last sort of like storytelling, just freedom. You know what I mean? So like and so it's like for those creators, you some of those creators do have that sort of, I mean, that thing where they don't feel like they should have to, like, if you got something to say, man, say it.
That's see, no, that goes to it. Like it is, but why is it that what makes it that last thing of freedom? What makes it that?
Man, because it's one of those things where if you got a piece of, I mean, this has been said a number of times by different people, but if you got a piece of paper and a pencil, you can put out an idea, you can put out a
I
thought.
don't I don't know if that's why it is, Joe.
You mean like as far like I'll say for me at least, it's the non constraints, and not about. I mean, you deal with a lot of things too as far as I'm sure there's some music stuff that is hurdles and red tape. I'm positive of that. I don't want to say for
Oh
sure I'm
yeah.
positive, but like I've dealt with some Hollywood stuff, and I there's so many fingers in that pie when it's being baked. Like it's way too many for you to get in my opinion, a properly baked pie. But once money is interjected, then they have a say so as to what they can do. So when it comes to comics, you have a lot more. It's your thing. It's your story. As far as visual storytelling, there's a lot less people involved, and it's a lot. The budget is a lot easier than say that. So when you have that sort of, it's kind of a rebel mentality medium. Anyhow, when I came into a younger me was like, F everything. I'm gonna tell this thing and I'm gonna get it out there. And that was kind of like my attitude. So, when it came to like, when social media came into the picture years later, when it came to moments where people I had to address, and that was the medium to do it, I did it. Like I said, I wouldn't do it again because I look back and go, that wasn't, I would rather not have done that. But in that moment, that was my attitude about my writings across the board. Like, and it's,
But it's not just youth that had you like that. It's the fact
oh,
that
I was on one, man. Whew, I was
but
lit.
it's honestly notoriety and popularity,
Yeah,
because once you elevate, that comes with certain things. And we see it in comedians, and it's like, people get mad at comics for things they say, but the reality is, who is getting mad and who are they saying? Because nobody that would pay to go into a dimly lit, really cold, not like freezing, but like comedy clubs are significantly cold. You know what
right.
I'm saying? And
Keep people up. Wake you up. Yeah,
yeah, and so like, and everybody's, if you buy a ticket, everybody's agreed to go into this space and hear dirty stuff
Right.
and hear someone talk dirty, whatever that dirty is, whether it's like, racist, sexist, homophobic, whatever, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? So, like, and if you don't like it, if you like, I can't take it, your rule, like, the only option you got is to walk out and leave. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But now when they get so popular, then it's like, okay, but you gotta water it down. We want to take you here, but then you gotta, you know, tone it
You
down.
know, I'll say this too,
But
and,
that's the cost of being more popular.
yes, actually a pretty damn good point, right there. I don't know whether it's okay. So with that said, I don't know whether it's maybe somebody may have somebody being whispered in their ear to be a certain way, or they might not instinctively know what line to not cross. But I think, and of course, we've seen the whole Cat Williams thing. Um, I think it depends on a particular, and I think you're right. I think so. Okay, now I'm gonna ramble a bit, but I'm not gonna go too long. Like when it comes to our medium and comics, and the popularity and notoriety certainly has a place where and it's weird because I don't address it much because I never felt, for me personally, whether I was like the lowest man on the totem pole or the highest person on it. I never felt some type of way about, like, I never felt these sort of, you're better than me, I'm better than you, I want what you have, oh my
Right,
god,
right, right.
I just never had that sort of inkling or feeling, about it.
Same.
So I never saw the sort of, but in that situation when I had that sort of that conversation I saw it within the people I was confronting with. Like they had that sort of, what I'm saying, they had that sort of thought, and I was like, oh, okay, I see what we're doing now. Okay, but I'm the type of person who, like I said, this is a small community, so I don't let things those people who I had that with, for the most part, we're all cool now, and that's kind of how I operate. I don't want to. I'm not. Life is too short for me, but I've seen it happen. I don't know. I just never. For me, like each individual is their own self. Like I don't think I've ever seen you in conflict on social media with anybody that I've
No.
seen. Um, but I
There was
think
a
that.
misunderstanding once with Ayamas Marab,
Oh well,
but
yeah, but that
nothing like that.
that
Like,
but but you never took it further than, and thank you for that, and I thank him for that. I hope you ever see
yeah,
this.
that's my bad.
You guys was like, it was a situation that just was squashed in that moment. Like you, and you didn't even take it that, because I was having a heart attack still, because I'm in the middle of that situation, and I'm like, oh my god, um, and because I don't I try not to argue about things. I try to keep things
Nobody likes when the family fights, and
right
you
now,
know,
and it was
yeah,
happening right on my damn page. I'm like, oh god, but and I was like snapping. I'm like, oh my god, you know. But but no, but like, but I just never, I don't know. But that said, though, that's how I feel. If anybody else feel that they have to say what they have to say, and it may be meant to, like I said, it be meant to send a message in that way, then I can't, if it's what it is, I don't know. Like I'm just taking what I've read and go, okay, if those are facts, then that person has the right to do that. I tend to try to get people behind the scenes, as best I can. When we had that argument on FB, I said we all know each other. What are we doing? Like you and IO, when y'all had that, y'all kind of squashed it because you know each other.
I
Um,
mean, it's a
and y'all in the
well,
same circles.
it was a context that he didn't get because
Right.
IO is not he didn't understand it, and when I say check him, I mean, like, I was like, yo man, this is this, and then Glyph was involved with that too, and he was like, yo dude, I did this and this, and he was like, oh, I didn't know in that world He just didn't understand the
Right.
language of our world.
And if you ever met this guy, you know, people who don't know him, he's one of the nicest, sweetest dudes you ever want to meet in your life. Like really genuine, really cool. Got great. He's an MC too. He got a great couple of albums out
He's
there.
also a temperamental like rapper. He's been in the past.
Now, see, and D may know him in that way. We used to work together. I used to see him when we worked, and he used to always talk about what he's trying to do with his music. And I remember this is a tangent, but the day he dropped his first album, I was actually there. You know, we actually got it signed too, his first album. But shout out to him, shout out to Al, and shout out to Griff,
Yeah,
and
man.
shout out
Shout out
to
to Amar
to
Squad,
to
all
to,
the
to D with
family
that.
tree
But
squad.
but that's the exact reason what happened between those two guys is the exact reason why like I because it was happening on my page, and I'm like, holy shit, because I don't like that. I don't like that to be seen in that way. But then that's just how I feel. Like I can't put how I feel on somebody else, especially on a platform that's for everyone. I would hope things could be resolved behind the scenes, but if sometimes you got to say what you got to say, like I said, I'm guilty of it too. So I can't be hypocritical.
Those are the costs of being, again, though, that's the cost of being like popular and knowing everybody, and you know these type of things happen. So when it gets into comics, you know, and when you're in your niche space, like perfect example, when you look at, let's take The Mask. You know, when you look at The Mask, that comic is gritty. You know, when you take it in the movies, it's, you know, you put Jim Carrey as the Mask. It's like, okay, we're gonna take some of that because it was some of that, but we gotta water it down a little bit because we want this to be to a larger audience. Then when you take it to the animated cartoon of The Mask, it was all the way like, you know, like watered down, like super kid friendly, you know, and but you're trying to get to those mediums, and it was popular. And as it got popular, like that comes at a cost. You know, like what do you give up to gain is the thing. And you know, if you want that type of freedom, you gotta kind of be like the stand-up comics. If you want that kind of freedom to say the most raunchiest, like offensive stuff, then you can't get any bigger than Corey Holcomb.
Oh yeah.
So if you want the crossover stuff, and this isn't even a knock to him, then you gotta be like Kevin Hart, you know. And if you're getting, you know, if somehow you find yourself to be a parody, and you're feeling like you're a parody of what you were, and you reject it, then you just reject it and just be, you know, Cat Williams. Like these are like costs of things. These all of this stuff, you know, you got to eat the cost of this stuff. And for us, like Escape from Babylon is, you know, I mean, it's fit prime for the medium or for the level that we're on. But if someone was to be like, hey guys, want to do this book, but you gotta change. They want to do a relaunch of it. But I want to get rid of the name. Like, Babylon is too like biblical, and you know, all of this type of stuff, and it's really tied in with, you know, like let's name it something else, like you know, Freedom of Fun or something like that. Let's get rid of Escape from Babylon, call it Freedom of Fun. And it's like, oh, really? And now I got to make a choice. Like, do I want to be there and
They start pilling those hundreds, and it's in that Damon Wayans skit that he did some years ago when he's
oh
like,
yeah,
there is, so I always think that it depends on, like, when we go into that bag, there's other uh uh properties that's been sort of like I say this all the time when I talk to friends. When my first interaction with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was the show. I never knew they had a comic book. I saw the cartoon. Maybe like some years later, like I think I was a freshman in high school. A buddy of mine, he took me down to the comic book store, and I saw the actual graphic novel. I picked it up, and I said, "Man, these dudes, they were extra. There was no red and orange and purple and whatnot. They were all wearing red, and the foot soldiers weren't robots that they happily cut up or knocked down. Foot soldiers were people, and the turtles would cut you wide open and leave you there. So it was a very, very gritty and darker book, but like sometimes they'll, because it kind of happened to us, when budgets are being made, they look at your property that they're interested in, and the person who's probably usually championing it to get it to this place, and the producer's not really caring as much as that person who's championing it. They're looking at how do we maximize this, and so they're going to look to make certain changes, and then you got to ask yourself, what are you willing? Are you willing to make that change? Like, are you willing? Like, when they start pulling those hundreds, and you look at them, D, and then you look at Babylon and go, I guess we can call it. You look at the guys, and they pill them off hundred after hundred, and go, Mister Nick, would you got to make that choice in that moment as to what.
I
But
mean, all of it comes out of color. Like even with Ninja Turtles, like the comic book was a parody and it was gritty. The cartoon was total like cheese, but it was good cheese. But it was total cheese. And then the first movie was probably the best hybrid of
agreed, 100%
like
agreed.
like that you could imagine. But then even with that, like after the first one, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 had to like no more nunchucks. No, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
That was a weird thing because I remember thinking, I remember when that became that was a news article about that, and it was about the violence that they portray. So so they take the nunchucks out of one of the, I guess, the most popular turtle at that time. They take it out of his hands, but they keep the bladed weapons in the other turtles' hands, who were far more dangerous than the nun. I remember thinking, I guess, do what you do, but that brings all the way back to my point about comics. Like, comics was one of those escapes where, like, that's what made, to me, it was the rebellious art form. The both for both.
because they were niche and they could be.
Yeah, but
Once they
exactly.
elevate, then it's like, because even like Escape from Babylon Volume 1, like the music, not the comic. Well, the comic probably too, but the music definitely was a little bit harder and harsher. You know what I'm
Oh yeah,
saying? Than the rest of the series, music wise. And then after, I would say, like after two, no, at three, like really learned. Two, I was kind of getting it, and then three, it was like, oh, okay, this is what we got to do.
yeah,
We can talk about the heavy stuff, but we got to really double down on the fun, like uplifting music and all of that type of stuff. So just kind of like make it contrast. So that was always the goal musically, and we kind of learned that in volume 2, and we really perfected it in volume 3. But volume 1 would, like, if this was going to be light, then the content was light. If this was going to be dark, then the content was like music, and everything matched in
yeah.
volume 1.
And
And 2, we started not matching, and in 3, we totally weren't matching.
by
But
to
this,
me, 3 and 4, you get a complete body of music. Like you get a, it's not like it's different tones and sounds and even stories being told in those, and especially was I think 3 is the one that got the joint with about your. I think that's 3. Your grandfather on it. I'm almost sure it's 3 or 4.
Yeah,
It was
that
one of
was
those. I totally enjoyed it because that album took me on a ride in very different ways. We
that
talked
was
about
3. That was 3. Yeah.
then one of them had a posse slash on it. I think
Oh yeah, that was 3.
yeah,
Well, they all had them, but 3 had like a really entertaining one, Crazy Eights.
Crazy Eights. Yes, that was that album probably is one I listen to the most. 'Cause I really and that's the one that got I think Fem C Flip Sides on that one. She got a
She's on
joint.
that one. She's on 4 too.
The one that go dun 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 dun
Yeah, that's who I'm not.
dun
Yeah,
dun 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 dun. Yeah.
she definitely like, yeah, shout out to Flip Side. And so
Um,
there's, but then people like going to comics. It's funny because there's people that believe that we don't curse in our music because we have that hybrid, like we have just as many clean songs as we do, like, I guess you would say, dirty songs, for lack of a better term. And even when we're doing shows where where we can't be profane, as long as I don't censor the message, I'm okay. I don't. It doesn't make me no difference to, like, I don't, to not like curse or any of that stuff. But there's people who just find it super like offensive. If they're cursing, that's what they want. Like, you
yeah.
know, and it is what it is.
I like being bringing it back to Wu Tang. Method Man made a statement. He was in an interview once, and he was talking about his latest singles and albums that he hasn't cursed in a long time. I noticed that. I like, but he hasn't cursed. He made it a personal point to. He said it challenges him a bit more, but he said he hasn't cursed on his albums or mixtapes in years. And I went back to sort of like see, and like starting from like I think he did like Meth Lab Volume 3 or 2 going forward, he didn't swear, and we've been to close out the show now, but one day I'm gonna ask you like how challenging it is to is it challenging to not curse versus cursing, but
No,
anyway, we closing out the show. I want to say one thing about this whole series. First of all, thank you, D, for coming in and fellowshipping and doing this thing that we do, together on this show. um Want to shout out Black Age Forever and Turtel Only. I want to shout
less.
out
And
Nathan
bless our
Mass.
guest that's been on here, like,
Oh yeah,
representing Gates. Yes.
Nathan Masters and Ken Ray for this series. But we go back when we dropped the archives. We've had a bunch of guests come on and talk. When we come back, so we're gonna take a hiatus now because I'm in the midst of moving. So I'm gonna set my studio up. In April we should be back. D about to go on tour and do some shows too. So and then we go. I'm gonna roll out the way I wanted to, with some more guests. We're gonna still talk about this comic book stuff. You're gonna see me and D do our thing because sometimes we're gonna talk about stuff that's happening in the culture now, like certain things. I want to have a lot of fun when I do this. Like this whole show, like even tonight. Tonight I came to do this show and I had a lot of fun and I enjoyed it. Like I had a whole lot of fun and get some of our we got a lot of friends who do comics. I want to try to bring them on and talk about this thing that we love and this culture that we're in and a part of. So, look forward to that going forward. Starting in April, we should be back. Um, Probably in later April because like I said, I got to move. But I want to bring more good content to you guys and pontificate on this thing that we do. But that'll be coming forward in the next month or so. D, let the folks know where you're gonna be and where they can find you, sir.
Man, we got a bunch of private shows coming up, so you guys aren't gonna be able to see those. But you can check us out, Nerdcore Days in Austin, Texas. That's March We'll be there March 14th, 13th, and 14th. And we got a lot of other stuff. Got some stuff. Be on the lookout for Neon Entertainment. Who's our one of our booking agents. So shout out to Neon Entertainment. We got a lot of stuff pending with that. And you can always support the mission by going to the website and ordering Escape from Babylon Volume 6. You can get the other Escape from Babylons. Please do. We have them. But, the latest and greatest Escape from Babylon Volume 6. It's a fun read and it's fun music. So just find us on the websites and all the social media. Shout out to 500 and growing, because I did an interview with 500 and growing. So make sure to go over to them YouTube streets and like and subscribe to 500 and growing, as well as subscribe to this. Make sure you hit that bell, and subscribe. And just follow me, microphonemisfits.com. That's TheMicrophoneMisfitz, the Microphone Misfits. Who else could it be?
And for me, it's going to be Punks of Rage, everything. Punks of Rage TV. The only message I got out, is thank you guys for, coming down and fellowshipping with us.
Raid City,
Rage City. Oh yeah, I gotta plug this. I will be at C2E2. I don't know if we'll be on before this, but I will be on at C2E2 in Chicago. They haven't given us an artist alley assignment yet, but I will definitely be there with my artist, Luis Mendoza. We're gonna be promoting Rage City. Street Team Studios will be in the building in Chicago. So if you guys are in C2E2 in Chicago, look for us in the artist alley. Also, Punks of Rage TV. Subscribe, please. Subscribe and hit the bell. We're gonna be doing more shows. We're gonna bring more guests on. We're gonna have a lot of fun doing this. That's the whole name of this thing. I want to have a lot of fun and relax and enjoy this thing that we're in. Until then, I will see you guys in a month or so. You guys have a great time. And I hope to see some of you guys at C2E2. So I'll be talking to you soon. Peace, everybody. D, I see you on the side.